The final is here, and it's 100 hours long, which is a lot. Plus, Jordan's off-roading leads to Aneesa's probably sprained ankle. Bananas puts, quote, making good TV, end quote, above helping his partner Nany win her first final. Devin stays a wizard at the slingshot. Tori dares to mention her notebook, but no one is around to hear it and get mad. And holy shit, Batman, that's a lot of blood. Olivia, I love you. Horacio, I love you. You two are simply the best. It's the challenge. Ride or Dies, episode 17, a.k.a. the final part 1 recap coming up right now. What up, my fellow challenge lovers? Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future, if it's happening in the Challenge universe, then we are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated Challenge Historian, Jacob Hollaball. Thank you so very, very much for being here with me tonight to talk Ride or Dies finale, part number 1, which... should it have been part 1? Should it have been the whole thing? We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. We're going to talk about everything we saw, including all of that blood. My goodness. I mean, we get trigger warnings for all of the appropriate things these days on television, but the one they could maybe add, if they wanted to add one more, was for those of us like myself who maybe don't love seeing blood dripping from all of the different parts of anyone's body. Definitely didn't like that part of the episode just as much as or not nearly as much. I was devastated, as I'm sure all of you, because finally the Challenge fan community has found one thing we agree on, and that is Olivia is a fucking star, and seeing her go out in this manner was absolutely devastating and just added insult to the injury of the fan watching, which is nothing compared to obviously the injury that she was suffering, but having to watch all that blood. Yeah. I'm going to avoid talking about it as much as possible while also still obviously talking about the biggest moments of the episode, which really were those. But before we dive into the episode, quick programming reminders. Season 39's Fantasy Cast podcast, put that out on Monday, had some delays. It came out 2 days ago, so check that out. And by the way, yes, they were both in that Fantasy Cast, but thankfully, as everyone is saying out on the social media streets this evening, if Olivia and Horacio are not on the next season of this show, and every season until they don't want to do it anymore, they both earned that right times, Horacio times 6, Olivia times 14 and a half would be my calculation. She's earned the right to do as many more seasons as she wants, times 14 and a half. That is exact calculation from this Challenge Historian. So they should be on it. They were already in my fantasy cast, and they couldn't be written in more permanent ink than they ever were before, but now certainly are. So go listen to that if you haven't already. This Friday, 2 days from now, a day from now, whenever you may be listening to this podcast, maybe already out, I've got a very special interview with Connor from the Challenge Australia, the MVP of that season, as proclaimed by yours truly. So had a great conversation with Connor. It was an absolutely wonderful time. Found out some very surprising things about the season. Got the inside scoop on a lot of the moments we did see and really enjoyed or were interested in knowing more about, but also found out a couple things that specifically on the food front that maybe if you happen to be a Challenge USA cast member that's listening to this very fine podcast show here that I'm doing, you might want to skip a couple of the questions from Connor, because it sounds like there was a little bit of differences between what they may have been getting there in the world of Challenge Australia. But that interview will be out on Friday. Check it out. Then next week, only going to be one episode, just Ride or Dies, the finale on Wednesday night, assuming barring any surprises from the Challenge world, such as maybe a World Championships trailer and, the official cast. We already know the official cast, but, like the official cast, all of that stuff. Maybe if that pops out, maybe we get a little reaction pod to that on Friday. But for the moment, only plan on the one episode next week, and we're going to get some things caught up here over at Challenge Historian HQ. So with that, we're covered. Let's dive in. Ride or Dies, episode 17, finale, part 1, although also part quarter because we only get 25 of the 100 hours into this thing. I promise, while these are long-winded podcasts each and every time, this will not be a 100-hour podcast, not even a 100-minute podcast, if you can believe that, which thankfully I don't usually go that long, although I have before and I probably will again, but not tonight. Let's go. We are going to kind of walk through the episode stage by stage of not the episode and the final, which goes one and the same. There's basically one portion of the show pre-final and then, 4 or 5 portions of the final. But before we do, 2 quick kind of high-level thoughts to discuss up front. We'll have a little bit of time here because the rest of it won't take all that long. It was pretty quick, one thing to the other, only a couple quick comments on each stage of the final. So a couple high-level things to start us off. And the first one is one I already alluded to and is my biggest question coming out of this final, or this not the final itself, but this first part of the final 2-part episode final that I keep saying the word final and not even in the right order that I'm trying to. I think you understand what I'm saying. We've seen one of the 2 episodes that is the final of the season, and I can't believe that this is where I ended, but I actually ended here after this long season that I have at times said, I wished was maybe a little bit shorter. And at times, not this season, but in seasons past, I have definitely, opined a little bit for, do we always need 90 minutes? If you're going to use 90 minutes, could you just use it a little more effectively, aka in the manner that I personally would like as one single fan with opinions? But I haven't done that much this season. I've appreciated the 90-minute runtime, and I generally always appreciate the 90-minute runtime and the 18 episodes as long as they're giving us something worth watching 18 90-minute episodes for, which I think more often than not than do, whether it's, A+ greatest of all time or just, hey, it's still the challenge. It's still good. I still love it, somewhere in between on that scale. But I found myself asking this question. Could this be just a 3-hour final episode? And which would I actually like better? Because I found myself being like, I need all 90 minutes of this. There isn't anything in this episode they could have cut out. I want to see all of this. I want to see all of the stages of it. And it led me to thinking like, I also though really just want to see the whole final in one. I don't really love the and now we wait a week to watch by the end of this episode, 2 teams fight for another 75 hours and 90 minutes of our TV lives. And it had me thinking I kind of actually think I would, I want all of this. I don't want them to cut any of this, but I think I would prefer watching a 3-hour version. And I say all that, also knowing next week could be a real snoozer because, again, there's only 2 teams. The editing team definitely has their work cut out for them to make sure no matter what happens between those 2 teams, they make it look like it's really close and competitive and interesting because, it's pretty tough when it's only 2 teams left at the end of this. There's a third, but they've got a bum wheel, rolling there. And by the way, this is not to bring me back to something I said. I think I said it on last week's Ride or Dies pod, but I also brought it up a bunch on the fantasy casting and my idea for the Challenge 39 and how they should do it. This is why you bring 14 people to the final. Someone might get hurt. Someone might quit. You know what's probably going to happen? Probably both of those things. Unfortunately, it keeps happening. Now, the ones that happen in this episode, absolute freak, unbelievable accident, feel horrible about them. I feel horrible about all of them whenever they happen in any season, no matter who it's to or whatever. But you gotta at this point plan someone's probably going to get hurt and someone's probably going to quit. We design these things to be as hard as possible to make some people quit and or to make it be the hardest thing they've ever achieved in their life and celebrate that story. That's why you bring 14 people to the final. If this happens with 14, you still got 10. You still got interesting storylines. You still got different dynamics going on with the sabotage and this, that, and the other. And now when you only bring 8 and suddenly 4 of them are out and you've got 75 hours of a final left, you're kind of screwed. So I posed the question to you. I think I'll throw it up on Instagram or Twitter or both, or maybe share it with some friends with the bigger, more active social medias that maybe can share and put the question out there. But would you be interested in this being a one episode 3-hour finale versus 2 90 minutes with a week in between? I started thinking about it, and the more and more I was like, yeah, I think I would. And also, then I was like, is there any precedent for that? And I was like, Survivor does it every season. They do a 2-hour finale plus like the hour reunion or post show or whatever. So it's a 3-hour final night of watching television. So I vote yes. I sat through all of that the last couple seasons of Survivor. I would happily sit through it for the challenge, and it would be way more fun, I think, than waiting the full week. And I guess, does it really just come to like, is the ad money for the 8 to 9:30 Eastern, or I mean that's Central, whatever time it's in versus that next 90 minutes? Is the ad money that much different that they wouldn't just run it in one night? They need to fill a couple Wednesdays in a row. I don't know, but that's all of that. That was honestly way too long. The other quick high level thing. It's basically the same final as the Challenge Australia. So far, every part of it has been the exact same as one part, just maybe a different order than the Challenge Australia was. And in the next week on, everything we see is also straight from the Challenge Australia final. And quick little small spoiler for something that Connor talks about in our interview that's dropping in a couple days. He says during the final on Challenge Australia, there was a lot more to it that they didn't put in the episode. They only did a 190 or 160 minute episode to cover the entire final, like from the house to the champions and everything. So not a lot of time to show everything. And as I found out from him, they did not show a lot of it. So I would be interested in maybe reaching back out to him or someone else from the Challenge Australia final after we've aired this full Ride or Dies one and being like, whereas some of the others, like how similar were they? If someone was in one and watched the other, figuring out how similar they were. We assumed they would be very similar, but turns out they might be like borderline exactly the same, just kind of elongated on the Ride or Dies side. So yeah, that's on my mind for sure. And I also makes me wonder, does that mean they maybe would have done a 2-episode final for the Challenge Australia if the ratings weren't kind of shit in Australia? I don't know. But those are the high level things. Now let's get into the actual segment by segment of the final itself. The house portion, first and foremost, there's not a whole lot to it. It goes by pretty quickly. There's no change of location, anything like that. Bananas steal the money joke, gotta say. First funny joke from him in 3+ years or whatever. They're usually pretty old, worn out, tired jokes. I did actually, as much as he wears the stealing the money story, jokes, what have you, out pretty well, I did actually enjoy the doubling down on it a couple times to Nany. I thought that was actually kind of funny. His toast, on the other hand, a little lackluster. Bananas, is he losing a step in the toast department? Like, that was, as he says here, like, it's my, I'm the toast master, whatever, you got to do it. But is he losing a step? Should he maybe just be like, Devin, maybe you step up. You're pretty good with words. You give it a shot. So interesting. Maybe an allusion to how the end of the final might go. We shall see. TJ rolling in on the motorcycle. Very cool. Loved that. I really wish, I don't know if the house allows for it, if there's enough room on the side of the house or whatever. I wish he would have just straight up pulled around all the way to the backyard, just pulled up straight into the yard with the motorcycle. That would have been amazing. Don't know if he was either allowed or actually had the appropriate room and property space to do that, but thought that would have been cool. Actually having to drive for 2 hours then to open the final, kind of hilarious. Seems, we get the they hop in a stick shift, and so they got to switch drivers, so it seems like they legit, I don't know, they show them driving in multiple different parts of the countryside. So I think they legit drove, whether it's for 2 hours and, the clock that we keep seeing is actually incredibly accurate or not, I don't know. But I find it hilarious that that's the start of the final, is just like, we're going to count this so that we can, say 100 hours here. But we just, instead of you guys riding a bus there, you can all drive. One of you can drive a stick shift, right? Okay, great. We're going to get you out of there, which, by the way, sidebar, anyone trying to go on the challenge, this has happened before, and usually in more dire circumstances. You might want to just read a little article, watch one YouTube video on how to drive a stick shift if you have no idea, like yours truly. Just quick little tangent there. Anyways, they have to drive. I'd love to see the raw footage of those conversations. I know we got to see a little bit of it, nothing that was really all that entertaining or good, but I feel like the longer that goes, there has to be some pretty funny conversations of wow, 100-hour final, pretty easy so far, huh? We just get to drive this super cool car, just chilling here. They won't let us turn on the radio. That's kind of fucked up, but whatever. This isn't so bad. Roll the windows down, hanging with my friend. there had to be some kind of funny conversations in those vehicles about like, this is it, huh? Especially Olivia and Horacio, given what eventually would happen to them. Like, I wonder if they're in the car, like, this is all the final is? We just kind of drive 12 miles an hour down this country road for like 2 hours? Okay, interesting. I can do this. So that's the first portion. Then we get to the first real part of the final. They got to do a little walk with their chest or whatever, but we get to the real first part. Nighttime biking and camping. No one, and this is the final. I dropped a couple minor Challenge Australia spoilers before. If you still haven't watched that season and plan to, you might want to skip ahead 15 seconds. I'll make it that fast. No one can top Kiki cutting off the G-string in the stationary bike portion of the Challenge Australia final, which we see a redo of here. So just have to get out there. That's, of course, the first thing that came to my mind, and will probably be the first thing that comes to my mind every single time we ever have stationary bikes in the Challenge house or in a final, especially in the future. But they got to bike 100 kilometers, 63 miles for us dum-dums over here in the States. Horacio smokes Jordan. Horacio and Olivia smoke everyone combined, but Horacio specifically smokes Jordan, which is insane, and only specifically because, you know, I came into All-Stars 3 and this season continually touting, like, Jordan's triathlon training, the endurance athlete that he now is in his regular life outside of the challenge. So when they hop on these bikes, I'm like, whew, no problem. Like, Aneesa, you get 40, like, Jordan's going to put down 60 quick, and, like, they're going to be off to a great start here, even though time doesn't matter. Get into that momentarily. But, so that just made Horacio smoking Jordan and smoking everyone. He and Olivia both smoking everyone. All the more impressive, even though they were the only team that was like, let's go all out and do this as fast as possible, but more power to them. They could, and they seemed fine afterwards. Like, it was like, you know, it wasn't a walk in the park, but they did it. No problem. Devin, on the other hand, is the complete other strategy and is also the completely correct strategy. Who would have thunk it? Devin, step one, stage one, already thinking this through properly, trying to outsmart the competition on a way to a possible first-time victory. And he's completely right. He is quick to tell Tori, look, this isn't timed. Like, we don't get to sleep. Well, it takes us 30 minutes longer. It's 30 minutes less sleep, but we go at a casual pace. We don't burn our muscles out. We're not cramping in the little bit of sleep we get tonight. And also, we can probably put together the tent as fast as everyone. We'll watch how they put it together. We'll learn a bit. It'll be fine. We'll lose like 15 minutes on everyone of getting into the tents at the end of this. And that seems to be about all they lose. And so, perfectly good strategy. Loved that from them. I think that was the exact way to go. And even whether one was better than the other, the fact that they're already just thinking this well and on the same page, and when one says something like that, they're both like, is that the right thing? Yes, good, let's move forward. Just the communication is there. Everything about it is really, really good. Bananas. Let's just talk about this here. It has to be talked about at some part. It goes throughout the episode. He's trying really, really hard to make good TV. He's trying really, really hard to do his job that he sees as his job, which I respect the hell out of, the commitment to the fact that it is a job. He likes to talk about this. Wes likes to talk about it. The two of them both love to talk about how what makes them so good at being on the show is that they also are like producers in the field. They understand after doing so many of them and have for a long time, like what makes good TV, and that they're there to make a TV show, and that they have to do their best to try to mix some of that in even while competing at their best. And you can tell over and over and over throughout this final, right up at the start when they're on the bikes and he's, whipping Nany with his sweaty rag shirt and making jokes and not caring that she's getting upset about it or whatever, that he's there being like, we're all riding stationary bikes. They want us to like make jokes. They want us to fuck around and get mad at each other. They want something. If we just all sit here silently and pedal, that's boring as fuck. So, while I also perfectly understand why Nany's like, fuck you. We've been on this too many times. We don't need to make good TV anymore. I just need to win. I just need to win. So fucking stop. Totally get where she's coming from. Totally get where he's coming from. And do respect, even if it would annoy the hell out of me, respect the fact that he is like looking around, and I know in his head thinking like, there's only 8 of us. Someone's got to do some shit at every moment to make entertaining. And if it's me, then I get up all the screen time in the final episode, which is always a good thing for him. So he's going for it. And most of it isn't that entertaining. But also the final thing on it, he and Nany definitely had conversations about this beforehand, not off air, like in the house, but without the cameras there, or maybe if the camera was there, they would know, like, when we start talking this, like, behind the curtain type of stuff, you're obviously not going to put it in the TV show. I guarantee they had conversations at multiple times, when he was fucking around in daily challenges earlier in the season of like, hey, we're the vets for a reason. We want them to continue loving us the way they do. We've got to give them something. We can't just be ho-hum. Yeah, we got a great partner and we're pretty good at this. Like, there's got to be something there, and neither of us do the, like, messy romance anymore. We try not to be assholes anymore. It doesn't always work for him, but, it's working a little better for him in recent seasons. So they've had conversations about this for sure. And so, yeah, I get everything that's going on there. Then they all get to have a nice night's sleep. They all successfully make the tent. It looks like they get some decent sleep. I mean, they get to those bikes right around dark. So, I don't know, take a couple hours, whatever. Like, I think they legit got to sleep from, like, midnight to 7 a.m. or something like for a final, although it's the first of, 3 nights, 3 to 4 nights or whatever of the final. For the final, that's actually pretty solid sleep in, like, a real tent with a real blanket and whatnot. Then we get to the first real run and the bola toss. And on that first little run, love the images of TJ riding the ATV, all of them running behind him, looking back over his shoulder. Love everything. TJ really committed to also being on the clock for all 100 hours of these, just like sitting, chilling, watching at all points, commenting. Love everything there. And definitely he doesn't always seem to have to do that, or I don't know, want to or not, but it definitely doesn't have to in seasons past. He's there watching it all day long in this version of it. Jordan wants to take a shortcut, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan's like, hey, bends around up there. I see TJ through the woods here. We could cut this 90-degree turn a little bit, save a couple seconds. We're already in last place. We're barely jogging. Why not? Let's go through the trees, Aneesa, and boom. Ankle, toast, stepping on roots, whatever, in the leaves, in the sticks and everything. Bad idea. Honestly, how was this going to save 7 seconds in a 100-hour 4-day final? Like, is this really, really worth it, Jordan? I like the idea behind it and just the intensity of, like, boom, they didn't say we're not allowed to. They didn't put markers up. They're right there where we can go. It's just not the path, but it's the woods, whatever. But it's a little bit of a risk. And there goes Aneesa's ankle. And it's a huge bummer. I'm really, really, really upset that now we get here. We have Aneesa in a final after all this time. And then immediate injury. And now it's like, we can't, like, get an accurate representation of, how she would handle this grueling 100-hour final. Because, like, hour one of actual activity, really, I guess, never mind, the biking, obviously, long activity, but you get what I'm saying. First couple minutes of the first real long day of it, and there goes the ankle. It's a huge bummer. I'm bummed out about it. And it's also hilarious. So hilarious, because, of course, this duo, this is where they would find themselves. Of course, this ride or dies pair that we all mocked the moment we heard it, that we all now know, wasn't ever meant to be the ride or die pair, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. They actually don't like each other, or at least she didn't like him for the most of the history of the two of them being in this world and on these shows together. But he gets thrown in with her. Her partner literally gets to go on the first day's boat ride and then told to go the fuck home because Jordan's partner isn't there and we need Jordan on the show. So boom, you're out. He's in. Now you're partners. We all had a good laugh at it. They tried to put on a face, try to get their way through confessionals, try to find a way to actually go from faking best friendy ride or dies to, like, maybe having some shreds of that be real by the end of the season. But of course, of course she was going to roll her ankle in the woods when Jordan were to cut through the woods. No, not that specific, but, like, Of course, Jordan would want to push in some way early in the thing, overly competitive, overly thought moment that and Aneesa would then like begrudgingly do it and get hurt, and now they're upset and they don't know they both blame each other and the whole thing's a mess. Just of course, this is where this duo would end up. And so it is hilarious. It's also really, really upsetting and a bummer for Aneesa, and I feel for her. Jordan going the no chill route the whole time. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm on his side. I'm on his side. It's what Aneesa has wanted. Now, this is why, even more why the rolled ankle's a bummer, because now there's kind of an out of like, we don't know how it would have went because there's an injury right in the beginning. But this is what Aneesa has wanted. She says in this episode, she kind of says, you know, with a proper amount of like attitude behind it, I'm always having to prove myself. And yeah, you're always having to prove yourself because you are like the proving yourself. And I've said this many, many times before, is where the fandom and the comments and the podcasters, myself included, can get tripped up and make things too basic sometimes and do the Aneesa can't win, so she shouldn't be there. When in reality, the slightly longer version of that and the true version of that is Aneesa can still be an absolute beast in a daily challenge and in an elimination where there's real strengths, real weaknesses. Some she could be bad at. A lot of them she can be absolutely great at and get her way to a final. But when you throw in the endurance part at the end and likely having to work with a partner, is not going to happen in the final. And that's the always having to prove it that I feel like is the more appropriate version to say and is totally true. And guess what? You have the best athlete in the history of the show by your side, who is a 3-time champ. It's now or never. And now it will be never, at least for this season, because we get an injury right at the start. So that's a bummer. That sucks. And even more so because of what we're eventually going to talk about. And now we're down to basically 2 teams here. Also, then we get to the bolas, the running and the bolas. How the hell does Olivia rip her finger off? I didn't fully get how the carabiner caught or whatever. I would have been a little freaked out if I was anyone else throwing after I see that. I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on here? How am I supposed to throw these? Do we two-hand? What do we got to do here? Partner, you want to throw? There's no rule about you can throw all of them. Partner, I don't know. But man, again, I hate blood. I was not about how much they were showing her hand, just her holding her hand out to try to get it worked on and fixed. Just crazy. And also it leads me to a little dirty little secret theory that I had in this moment. All I could think about in the moment, again, before we eventually get to the end of the episode, which we're coming to here soon, and all in the moment I'm thinking about is like, man, there's no challenge final these days that doesn't have water and like open water, not a pool or anything, but like open water. And we saw the water they got in on Challenge Australia, which is very likely the exact same body of water, now confirmed by the next week on, the exact same body of water that they're going to be getting in. And guess what? Open wound that probably needs stitches on your finger, you're probably not going to be allowed to get in the water that you have to get in. And I feel like there's a chance that maybe she would have eventually got DQ'd, or somehow they would have had to do something of like, all right, this part, Horacio, you do have to do it by yourself because we don't want to DQ you for this, but you're not allowed in that water with that finger right now. So just a little secret theory of mine that I think it feels like that would have actually happened. Moving on. Devin chugs like a champ for his vegan partner, which I love Tori. And I fully respect everyone's food choices in their life outside of the challenge. But give me a fucking break, which she is very quick to be like, I will do this. And I think later in the rest of the final, we will probably possibly see her going against her vegan diet. Also recently, TJ said on the Challenge Mania's, like the live Zoom for their 5-year anniversary, I think it was, that TJ popped in, and he mentioned how now they're starting to make all of the food vegan in all of the finals, and anytime they have to eat nasty stuff, it's like a vegan version of it. But I know in recent seasons we had Nehemiah, I believe, on All Stars 2 or 3 or both, whatever, 2, that he had to eat a bunch of shit, or 3, both of them. I don't know whichever. They ran so close together, and he's in all of them, so it's hard to tell. But one of them where he was like, I'm a vegan, but my God, if I can do this. So while Devin just chugs like a champ, he's like, I can do this, I can hold it down for you. And I think Tori would have if he was like, yeah, like, come on, I need help. But I hope that doesn't stop anyone from being able to go for the $1 million, because it's still $1 million at the end of the day. Like, you can cheat the one time, I guess, but I say that as someone who doesn't have that moral stance, so maybe I'm just the asshole. Devin, then, final thing about this section, makes a truce with Bananas, which ultimately won't matter much beyond this stage, where it does help them avoid drinking an extra thing of whatever that fish guts that they keep saying was. But it also means that Olivia and Horacio get fucked, and would have been consistently fucked for the next couple of things, as they were with the bola or the slingshot, and as they probably would have been if they made it beyond that point for a little bit longer before Bananas and Nany or Devin and Tori, whoever was in second place, started being like, okay, end the truce, because we've got to catch up. Final 2 stages we see then are the tires and the slingshot. Starting with the tires, Bananas' vet knowledge of like sniffing out how this is going to work. He sees the name and instantly says out, like, this is going to be, we're going to have to put them in order. So like, let's take them in order from the start. It's very impressive. It's very cool. I applaud the vet knowledge and thinking through that. It also ultimately doesn't matter at all time-wise in the end, but it's still cool and impressive and worth shouting out. Plus, also on the tires, you could just cheat. Like, this would actually be kind of sneaky hard. Someone would probably get it wrong if you didn't get to all cheat off of the first team done and like double check your work before doing your check and leaving. So I wish there was maybe a way that they could have not got to cheat, but whatever. It's basically just run 8 kilometers or whatever it is total there. Jordan and Aneesa check in during these stages. Jordan, quote, I just don't know how we are walking this slow. We walk out of the house faster than this, end quote. So that's how those two are doing. And then we get to the slingshot. And 2 things about the slingshot. Both things that are obvious standout things from the episode here near the end. Seriously, how does Devin do this? Or is everyone else that bad at the slingshot? Like, I know I need to be impressed, and then I need to be whatever the opposite of impressed is that I can't come up with right now. I need to be impressed by Devin and the opposite of that for everyone else. But, like, on what scale? Do I need to think Devin is an actual legitimate wizard with real supernatural powers that he's just kind of hiding from us? Or is he just pretty damn good and impressive at a thing that everyone else is also hilariously bad at? I don't know where it falls, but there's a big gap, which means he's either like at the tippy top of he's a wizard, and they're like just kind of bad, or they're like horrendously bad and he's good. Like, the gap's too big for it to be anything other than one of those combinations. It's incredible. It's insane. It's impressive. Then we get to Horacio and Olivia. And Horacio goes 2 for 2. Things are finally looking up for them. They've overcome a couple little setbacks. They've passed a team. They're right on the heels of the other team. And then smash. Holy shit. Like, how does this even happen? How did it even happen that it shoots back? Not that it shoots back. It makes perfect sense. It gets fucking caught up. The thing flaps around, goes all the ways. It can fly off any which way direction when you're doing this, let alone when you're doing this when you're super tired and already, depleted of all your resources and bodily function and focus and everything else, and it's pressure and $1 million and your partner just hit 2 of them, whatever. It could go any direction, but that's why it's like, how does it go? How does, of all 360 degrees it could shoot out of that thing at, how does it go on the exact 1 out of 360 degree that it needs to go straight into the bridge of this woman's nose? How? Just the unbelievable bad luck and misfortune. And it's so sad. It's so much blood. Again, not for me. Very hard to watch. Obviously, would have been a true traumatic, tragic, horrific moment to live through. So all the love in the world to Olivia and to Horacio, mostly to Olivia, who is an absolute goddamn star, a goddamn champion, an unbelievable person, handles this. If there's if there's a way to handle the complete and utter terror and misfortune and pain and agony of a golf ball slingshotting from close range into your face and breaking your nose, this would be the best case scenario, I think, of someone being just an absolute badass rock star mixed with like vulnerable, open, compassionate human being, like everything possible rolled into one unbelievable moment where it would be perfectly acceptable to have any and every reaction possible in the world to what has just happened to you and the pain you're in and the trauma you're feeling and everything else. She's a champ. I love the backstory we got from her all episode long. I love how open and willing she is, to do the confessionals with, where we reveals all the bruising, I'm guessing, from someone who's broken their nose before when I was super duper little, like 4 years old. It's like my first memory literally ever that I still have rattling around in this brain of mine that's now just full of challenge memories instead of this show that I've watched for 25 years. She does the confessionals with bruising. It looks like I'm sure we'll get a report from her. Maybe we're recording this immediately after watching the episode. It was definitely a broken nose, and whether it had to be reset or what. Usually, it had to be reset, which would explain a little more of like the kind of symmetrical bruising across the rest of her face from that. But the fact she was willing to do the confessionals in that state to kind of show like this is what happened, and I'm okay sitting down and doing these. The fact that they then, her and Horacio clearly came back months later. I don't know how long it takes for that to heal and not really be shown or, be able to cover what's left up with makeup. But they do other confessionals after the fact where, the bruising's gone and everything, and she's healed, all healed up, which means those weeks later, months later, whatever, which also sucks to be called, like, to know that whole time, God, whenever this is healed and I'm, a month out, weeks out from this horrible, horrible thing that happened. And now I got to go back and talk about that horrible, horrible thing and try to put on a smile and whatever. That's tough too. So shout out to them for doing that. And she's just an instant star. What an unfortunate way for it to end. I just love her in general. And I desperately, they can't fuck this up. They can't. If she says, no, I don't want to be on the next season, that's fine. Stars get to choose like that. So by all means, do you, Olivia? But if she's not the very first call, if she wasn't told immediately upon, like on the ride to the hospital, like, hey, don't worry, if you want to be on the next 12 seasons in a row, you can be, and we will help you. We'll wink, wink, help you get to those finals and maybe redeem this moment because she deserves it. She's just a legend one season in. What an incredible first season. And on the other side, Horacio, what a champ himself. Such a good friend in the moment. Hats off to him. What a difficult, a slightly different version of incredible difficulty to go through this on his end. And it's just brutal to watch after she leaves and he's finally like, okay, like she's not here. I can feel my emotions about the fact that now the game's done and I can let that kind of wash over me and start to deal with that. And it's so sad. It's so, so, so sad. And I think, personally, just let him run it. Let him run it for fun, at least. Be like, dude, I'm so sorry. But, like, you have to have a partner. So, like, you can't win. But, like, if you want to, like, run it to finish it just to, like, see how it is or whatever, like, that's fine. We could use the extra footage and whatever, You can, like, fuck with the other teams. I don't know. Just let him run it for fun. Or let him do double. I can't believe he's so desperate. He's like, let me do double. I'll do double the work. And at first I was like, well, Horacio, it's not 100% fair. You're the best. You might have just taken the best athlete here title from Jordan. So like, I don't know if that's fair. But then I thought about it a little more. I was like, yeah, it is. Like, imagine those tires. You only get to take one at a time. Double the trips. Double the time. Like, I don't know. It's not fair. Obviously, you can't do that. But also, like, wouldn't it have been insane if he did double and then ended up winning and got the whole $1 million and we saw him go to the hospital and take a check to Olivia or something? Like, that would have been incredible. I would have been ready to go to watch next week. So, yeah, that's that on them. And the last comment on that, Horacio versus Jordan, straight up running this 100-hour final. I got to see it. I would love to see it. I would pay to see it. I don't know who would win. I mean, Jordan would win, probably. But the fact that I just had to stop and say probably is a testament to Horacio. All right, the awards and power rankings and predictions. We're just going to roll through these super duper quick because somehow we've already been here for a lot longer than anticipated on this, part one of the final. So, best quote. Haven't had it in a couple of weeks. We got back to it this week. Thank you to Devin, Bananas, and the medic of all people. Devin first, quote, "Pressure makes diamonds, and we are ready to shine," end quote. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. I always like it. I've heard it plenty of times, but I like it. It's classics work. Second one, Bananas, quote, "You've gone harder in Vegas for 80 hours," end quote. Saying this to Nany as a form of encouragement for how easy the next 80 hours of her life will be. I gotta say, the earlier joke was like the first time I thought Bananas had been funny in a long, long time. This one was fucking hilarious. That's actually really, really funny. And even Nany has to give in and be like, "God damn it." Like, okay, like I'm not going to get mad at you for this one fucking around moment because it was actually funny. So hats off to that. And then the medic gets in on it. Quote, "You have blue eyes, so everything is going to be okay." To Olivia when she's concerned, about like, what the fuck does my face look like? Like, how bad is it? What's going on? Is everything in the wrong direction? Whatever. And just what an in the moment response from the medic of like, "Girl, you got blue eyes. You're good. Like, don't worry about it." What a incredible thing to say. I give the best quote though to Bananas. The "You've gone harder in Vegas for 80 hours" is good. You got to tip the hat when it's appropriate to him, whether you want to or not. Best moment of the episode. 5 nominees. The Horacio and Bananas and Devin to some degree sweat sex scene. That is another moment of Bananas just like making television. I think everyone at home thanks him for the part he played in forcing them to do a, slow motion montage where we objectify the shit out of Horacio for a little while. And then also a little bit Bananas and Devin. Devin, what a team player. Loved it. That was, that was a moment. Certainly, you'd at least call it that. I don't know what other words you want to attach to it, but it was a moment. Second one, Aneesa rolling her ankle, running off course. I'm sorry. It's fucking hilarious that this is the outcome that these two would have in the final. It's horrible and I feel bad, but it's also kind of funny. Third one, TJ claiming that he hates puking while smiling and laughing his way through the whole thing. I don't quite believe you there, Tej. It didn't sound sarcastic, but I feel like it was meant sarcastically. Fourth nominee, Devin being a wizard with the slingshot. Fifth nominee is, of course, not the best moment, but this is again where best moment really in reality means like memorable, stand out. What's this episode remembered for? And I think we all know. I think Olivia's injury and going out of the game is definitely the winner of the award and definitely the first thing you're going to think about when you probably think, depending on what happens next week, pretty hard not to say this is going to be the first thing I think about when I think about the final of Ride or Dies. Maybe one of the first things, if not the first thing I think about when I think about the season of Ride or Dies. Best needle drop, 4 nominees. Another incredible job by the music producers on this show. First one, I Don't Care by Charlie XCX. To open the episode, love that song. It's very fitting. It got me pumped up like I was supposed to do. Got the beat going hard. It was a very good opening song. I Will Buy You a New Life by Everclear. I love this song. Perfect age, as all the music this season is just hitting that sweet spot for those right in my tight age bracket, and just love that song. Love that they were using it to start a final. Again, as we'll see with the other nominees on this list, it just perfect. Matching the words and the vibe to what's exactly happening in that moment is spot on. That was amazing. Hard to Handle by Black Crowes when Bananas is fucking around. Again, the words matching up perfectly to what's going on while also being an awesome song. And then the fourth and final nominee and the winner, because none of them synced up quite as well as this, My Body by Young the Giant during the puking montage. That we always got to have the puking montages. I'm one that I'm like, it's interesting a little bit, but it's really not. Like, I don't know. Once you've seen one puking montage, you've seen all 87 or whatever there's been in the history of the show at this point. And but matching up the music with it and the word, like, go back, look up the words, go back and re-listen or watch that scene, and pretty spot on and just a banger of a song. So that's the best needle drop. Episode MVP, 2 honorable mentions. TJ for, again, putting in all the work. I love that he's like sitting there, explaining stuff, telling who sabotaged who, just having to generally watch as they take forever to, run the tires or whatever back and forth. And then also honorable mention to Horacio, but the winner, of course, is Olivia. She's a star. She's a star. And I hope it was the fastest healing nose ever. I hope somehow that was not as painful as it would normally be. I hope that she is back next season. I hope she wins. I hope she's on my television screen, probably for the rest of the time, or for as long as she wants to be. Because again, she's already in the star level status for me to you get to pick and choose. You should get to call them and be like, hey, you let me know when 39's coming. I'm happy to do another one. Hey, guess what? I'm good for the next year, so wait, don't call me, don't contact me, and then February 2024, you can start to contact me, and whatever she wants, she should get, period, end of story. Olivia's the MVP. Power rankings and predictions, right into it. Power rankings. Obviously not a lot left here. Devin and Tori hold down number 1, which, quick sidebar, Devin tweeted and then got roasted by some other people who, mocking it, Fessel, and then Theo coming off the top rope, the UK Theo. Devin said that he is now going into this final, regardless of what happens, he is a top 25 male challenger of all time. I am going to do a quick breakdown of that on next week's show. I didn't have enough time to think that through. I also don't want to give any official top 25, but I don't think he might not be that far off, especially if he probably wins next week. And so, yeah, we'll cover that next week. But I did see it. I thought the jokes about it were funny. And, but I also think there might be some semblance of truth to it. We got to think it through. He's at least put himself in the conversation. There's an obvious 15 to 20 that come up, but then there's a big group after that. Anyways, I'll talk about it next week. I'll shut up about it right now. Number 2 spot, Bananas and Nany. Number 3 spot, Horacio running the final twice would be in 3rd on the power rankings for me if he was allowed to. The 4th spot would be just Olivia's hand. The 6th spot would be Olivia's nose. The 8th spot would be Horacio running the final 3 times. And in 10th, I've got Jordan and Aneesa. Open slots on 5, 7, and 9. That's the actual power rankings that I typed out while getting ready for this podcast. So that's my feelings. I don't think Jordan and Aneesa got a shot to catch up. And I think Devin and Tori versus Bananas and Nany one-on-one is it's a great matchup. If you're going to have a one-on-one matchup, it's a pretty good one, but it sucks that it's a one-on-one matchup for 90 minutes. Bring 14 people to the final. But those are the power rankings. As for the predictions, sticking with Tori and Devin as the winners. As I said from the front of the season, I'm 50-50 shot now of getting it right for the first time in 5 seasons of podcast coverage here. As for last week's prediction, though, nailed this final. I'm 4 for 5 already with the Devin and Tori being the 5th remaining one out there. I said it'd be a 2-part episode. I said it'd be extremely similar to Challenge Australia. I said Jordan would put on a good face, but breakdown would happen at some point, likely early. Boom. Very early. I almost got that wrong because I don't know that there was that long of a good face, but good face in the 2-hour car ride and then immediate, not so much. Bananas and Nany versus Devin and Tori were the only 2 that would matter, pretty far ahead by the end of it. That already is spot on. So we've nailed 4. The 5th and final one is Devin and Tori winning. I'm sticking to it. I think that's going to happen. And we'll see, though, because, man, it'd be very, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Bananas winning an 8th. I don't know how I know how I'd feel about Nany winning. I'd feel great for Nany finally winning, but I don't know how the level of excitement, if this would have happened on Double Agents, the level of excitement would have been through the fucking roof. And now, after the last few seasons, it's a little I'm still going to be floored for her. I love her to death. She's a complete and utter legend of this game and has been a weirdly big character in my life for a long time now. But I'm a little torn. I kind of think I want to see Devin and Tori win more. And mostly because I think my feelings about that would be a little more straightforward. So we shall see, and we shall discuss those feelings next week when we cover the Ride or Dies finale, part 2, the next 75 hours. I promise that podcast won't be 75 hours long. Again, that will be the only pod next week. This Friday, we got the interview with Connor from Challenge Australia. Still got time to go watch Challenge Australia if you haven't already, and then listen to the interview. It's going to be on Paramount Plus, I believe, in a week or two. Not my interview, the show. Although, if they want to license my interview, great. That can be awesome and arranged as well. So, thank you so much for being here. Hats off, prayers up, good vibes sent to Olivia and to Horacio. I just can't say it enough. They're the best. They're the fucking best. And I hope that they know that they're the best. I think they do. I think, thankfully, it's been resounding from the entire challenge community, letting them know that they are, in fact, the best. But if you haven't already, make sure to go find them somewhere on social, somewhere. Just let them know how great they are, because they deserve it. So that's all for this week. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you on Friday or back next week for the Ride or Dies finale. Until then, peace.